Welcome to the National Minority Supplier Development Council's Equity in Business podcast. My name is John Daniel, and I'm humbled to be your host. But I'm thrilled to be here with Mr. Sean Hobday, who's the Senior Vice President of Global Corporate Sales at Zones Corporation. Welcome, sir. Thank you for coming. That smile tells me a lot about who you are and the fact that you like your work.
I love it.
Do me a favor, sir.
Yes.
Please share a little bit about your backstory, your background.
Well, my background is, pretty much the American background in a lot of ways. Born in Sacramento, California, youngest of 5 children. My family moved up to the Seattle area when I was very young, working in both ranching and property development. That led me to good education at Lake Stevens, Washington, proud and mighty Vikings.
Come on now.
And then, the opportunity to go to school at Boise State University, go Big Blue, home of the Blue Field, which, your listeners are probably imagining and seeing right in their head, which was a tremendous opportunity for me to go to a small, welcoming community to go to school. And that really, my education in international business management led me all over the world with Rosignol Ski Company. Lived in Vermont and Australia. And at the end of that, decided I wanted to move to technology and took an entry-level sales job at the company that 25 years later I'm now a senior vice president.
From the ground up.
From the ground up. Starting, paying very much attention to the trainers and my managers at the company and focusing on my metrics and just working hard every single day and through each layer of management at the company to where I am now.
Wow. You probably have a lot of people report to you based upon my due diligence.
Yeah.
Please tell me, who reports to you and what are your responsibilities at Zones?
So I have a responsibility for all the sales at Zones around the world. So, that's roughly about, call it 1,000 employees around the world. So here in the U.S., Canada, out of our UK and Netherlands offices, which cover all of EMEA, India, a team in Pakistan, in Singapore. So, all around the world have sales professionals and sales operations professionals reporting up through me in my organization. I can tell you, it is a joy and a pleasure every day to serve them.
That's awesome. Tell me about the portfolio of Zones. What do you folks do? Let our audience know the kinds of things that you do.
So we do a wide variety of IT solutions for our customers. So, if you think at the most basic, it's the digital workplace. And post-COVID, I can tell you it's incredibly challenging for employers today to figure out, how am I going to have the technology in the hands of my end users at home or around the world and geographically dispersed now? What is the office and the office of the future going to look like? How am I going to keep that secure? How are we going to connect our people and make them still feel connected and empowered in their now changing roles in the way that they are in their family? Right? They're not used to being at the office 8 hours a day. And how are they taking care of their children? How are we helping and to enable that for our customers? Very important within our digital workplace. Networking, right? So as you think about video conferencing, how they're going to be able to enable more bandwidth through that. So we're in wireless technology so that people can come and go through the offices as they please. Doing a lot of work around that. And then also in factories, facilities, retail locations, is you need to connect with your customers and your employees need to connect with their customers in a more mobile way. Taking care of all of that within the network. Then cloud and data center, and the data center of the future that kind of goes back and forth now between the cloud and what people still want to do on-prem. And then finally, security. Every day we see in the media of, the healthcare organizations or banks or small businesses being, hampered by hackers and taking advantage of them. And how do we set ourselves up? And we've done, amazing things in that space. We just hired the deputy CIO of the state of New York to run our security practice.
Wow.
Why? Because we see our customers every single day having to face and defend this. And what better way than, the state of New York, state of California, state of Texas, U.S. government might probably be trying to get
So
hacked
he's
every
been in
now
a
and
few
then.
fights that he won.
He's been in a few fights
Like
and
it,
very
like it.
dispersed. You think about all of the schools, the different departments, the cities, the counties at the state of New York that had to have security and think about security in a variety of ways. Having that kind of horsepower on our team is going to be important, being able to bring that to our customers.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
Tell me about when Zones and you gathered their first big contract.
Wow, there's a couple that I want to discuss
Please,
because it
take your
really is rooted in the NMSDC and the power that we have found as an organization being powered here. I'm going to give a shout out to Charmaine Jackson, who was in procurement leading diversity at Pacific Gas and Electric, Northern California's largest utility organization, and really partnering with that team who had not only a government need, but a real passion within their organization to work with diverse companies, to be able to get a diverse thought, diverse thinking in their own organization. And, we partnered and grew our business. I mean, Charmaine is a leader now within the NMSDC, and here I am an SVP, and we were at the bottom of the rung of the barrel when we first started working together. And I can tell you, that contract changed the way in which we operated. Thousands of laptops and desktops going to a customer that needed to be configured, changed the way that we run our technology solution centers, and bring value today to our customers 25 years later.
This is huge. The fact that Charmaine gained insight in working with you and came here as a leader, in other words, what you're telling me is you've produced some leaders from this wonderful company.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing.
And then Starbucks is another great example. Probably, you're a guest here in Seattle this week. I'm sure you've walked down and got your caffeine to get your heart going.
Probably too much.
Yeah.
But it was good.
And I can tell you, as we became members of the NMSDC and Starbucks being a corporate member here in our local chapter, that team, really helped us grow as an organization. So we started out by just supplying the technology that's in every Starbucks location in the U.S.
Wait, say that again.
Yes. The technology that goes into every Starbucks in the U.S.
Give me a pound.
It's not a small contract.
Making it work.
Making it work. But I can tell you the partnership and the real focus that Starbucks has around their partnership with the NMSDC, what they're trying to do about sustainability, what they're trying to do about inclusion, what they're trying to do to just change the world at the core of their organization. Just a coffee shop, right? Some could say it looks like a fast food organization, but really putting a lot of thought into what they're doing in this area really helped us to grow and also change how we act and behave, not only as a minority business, but what we're doing back into our communities as well, that, I'm sure we'll share some stories with you a little bit later. They helped us really frame our business into how to be a responsible organization. I can tell you the power of a gentleman that is on their diversity team at Starbucks, James Hing, long time friend, that really helped to guide us as an organization and help us along the speed bumps that we had along the way as a company to what we do with them today, which is a whole lot more than just supplying them with their technology. We do and manage the complete life cycle of that, specialized projects, helping them with some of their HR initiatives as well. it's been a fantastic partnership with Starbucks and Zones.
This is awesome. Clearly, the character, conduct, and conversation that you represent for Zones is superior. And looking at who's growing from it really is exciting. Tell me about why partnership is important to you, and especially as it relates to the retail and utility industry.
Well, you know, the humble beginnings of those two companies have really fostered for us great relationships across the way, just in those, not just in those specific industry verticals, but also with our partners with OEMs and other folks that we work with. And I can tell you, you know, why are partnerships important? How do you run your own home? Right? There has to be a partnership in there in order to ensure that everything is running and running well. And it's the same when we think about our customers. It's the same that when we think about our suppliers and the vendors that we leverage as an organization. Those partnerships are incredibly important, because without those partnerships, we're not doing business, we're not learning, we're not hearing a diverse thought, we're not tackling challenges in a different way that maybe none of our other customers have seen yet, but they're going to see around the corner. So all of that learning that we get from those parties is incredibly important to us. I can tell you it has shaped the solutions that we bring specifically to each of those industries, be it retail, be it our public utilities, healthcare organizations, manufacturing organizations, because while each of them has their unique vertical challenges, they also face many of the same threats and challenges to their business that requires efficiency, digitalization, and that only happens with two people talking to each other to uncover what your pain points are today. I can make an assumption, and I might be close, but if you don't share those directly in conversation, if we're not exchanging thoughts, how are we going to get to the root problems that we're trying to solve for each other? It's going to be very difficult.
Well said. You're taking me directly into the concept of, why do you think DEI is important?
Oh. You know, I watched an Instagram video the other day that probably explained it the best. They had men trying to get their bodies through a hula hoop as the family backyard competition. And they said, well, if you don't bring a woman into the conversation, this is what it looks like. And then when you do, the women just held the hula hoop in one spot, and then just as a train, they all just went through it really quick.
Wow.
And efficient. And why is that important? If you don't tackle challenges from different points of view or different experiences, how do you expect to get the best outcome? How would you get the best outcome if you were only listening to the three best friends that you hang out with all the time that have experienced everything in almost the exact same way that you have? You're not going to be able to achieve that in a different way that may be more efficient.
You know, the definition as you're unfolding it really speaks to a mindset about diversity.
Yeah.
You know, how do we look at the experiences, the exposures, the examples that people have had, and what impact that has on their problem solving?
Yeah.
You know, when we're looking for good employees, these are the kind of things we're looking for. I got it. You know, and I think key here is that you're demonstrating it in looking at the supply chain. Yeah. You're demonstrating and looking at a home, because not only do you have the people living there, but you have a multiplicity of suppliers, electric, gas, whatever it might be. You got a partner.
Yeah.
All this dovetails together for me. And again, the conduct and conversation I'm enjoying, sir. This is the kind of thing that we should be doing every day. And so when you look at DEI as related to your unique set of experiences, I mean, you mentioned Pakistan, India, a number of countries. Can we actually help those emerging countries? We look at the World Economic Forum, and there's a lot going on there with human development indexes and things like that. But it sounds like you're helping to grow those homes. to have people employed? Please, go.
I can unload on this one.
Come on.
forever, right? I mean, just from a cultural standpoint, imagine if you were educated elsewhere and you weren't allowed to raise your hand and ask a question. So you were unable to challenge your teacher or ask a question in a different way, which, you know, in our culture today is welcomed and part of our curriculum. So when you go to the workforce and you're doing a task that you know is wrong or inefficient all day, every day, how refreshing would it be for you to have a tap on the shoulder by your manager to say, hey, I realize that you're doing this all day, every day. Do you have any ideas of how we could do it better? Do you think you could ever get that employee to be quiet after you ask that question?
I don't think so.
Do they have ideas, right? And sure enough, right, we've been able to streamline our processes, but we've also changed that individual culturally to recognize that they have a voice that they never thought that they had.
You know, what's interesting about this too is curiosity is the basis of learning most things we do. And if you oppress curiosity because you don't want to hear what your employee says, you're oppressing advancement.
Oh, all day.
It's bigger than just thinking about hue of skin and gender, isn't it?
Always.
Whew, man. I love this, man. All right. Within the concept of zones, there are a lot of questions could be asked about what you're doing internally to make sure, particularly in relationship to National Minority Supply Development Council, that things are going well for diversity, equity, and inclusion. However you want to speak to that, you go right ahead.
We have a couple of great things that we do. I'm going to start with some of the external work that we do.
Yes, sir.
That I think is very important, and it's, you know, important to understand the mind of our leader, who grew up in Uganda, was kicked out by Idi Amin. His is really a migrant story when you look at it at the whole, and it would be easy to turn his back on his roots. And today, he has started a program at the London School of Economics where he went to school. That's the Firoz Lalji African Leadership Studies, where they provide full scholarships for the middle level leaders within Africa that are going to go back and change. In his heart and his beliefs, he says, hey, look, I don't want the president's son to go to Oxford and then go back and then just figure out how to reap from the natural resources of the country. If we're going to see real change for the people in those countries, it's got to start with the middle management, superintendents of schools, people that are going to go back and work in GPOs, mayors of villages, to really get the best out of their people and to have a voice and a real change. Super passionate about that. Hundreds of students have been educated over the last 10 years in this program. And I can tell you, witnessing it firsthand is been one of the internal drivers for me to continue to be successful in what we are doing as an organization, because that's one of the bigger things that I think that we can affect. Here with the University of Washington, we supply scholarships to diversity business owners. So you are going into the University of Washington and their minority business development entrepreneur program. We're helping other entrepreneurs to be better at what they do to be more successful. It's one thing for us to be a big organization and continue with success and to go celebrate that. But if we're not reaching down and helping out other business owners to be able to get the advantages that others have, how are they going to be successful? How are they going to learn to be just better business people? And we're doing that. And then throughout the NMSDC, we are partnering throughout the organization in mentorship programs and helping them and sponsoring this economic forum as well, in order to better all of the diverse companies, because we believe that the stronger the NMSDC is, the stronger the minority business owners are, the stronger our country is going to be as a whole. We're going to help more people solve all of the baseline undercurrent problems that we have as an organization. Prosperity is one of those things that solves them.
I love it. I love it. You know, somebody once said that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, but poverty anywhere is an assault on prosperity everywhere.
That is it.
And I think that what your leader is doing and what you're doing as a part of that team is hugely important. Entrepreneurial training is hugely important. And when you can associate it with a school, it's even better. There are lots of basics of equity as related to a company, hiring practices, equitable opportunities for employees to move forward. Anything like that that you want to talk about, feel free. And if you don't, it's all good, because clearly these things you're addressing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we focus on it internally within our HR program incredibly closely.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And in fact, we look at those metrics. We look at who we spend money with as well within our organization to ensure that we're diverse across the board.
Wait. Follow the money.
Follow the money.
You follow the money. You know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
sir.
the most
Yes,
important.
sir.
If you don't do that and you don't set goals and you don't think about how do you, one, better the talent that you have and help them to improve and rise, because that's a huge investment as an organization, right? If we're just going to talk about the money, like you said at the beginning, the biggest investments that we make are in our talent. So if you can take that talent, continue to develop them, challenge them, make them think more broadly, make them, you know, the biggest thing that I think that we can give to individuals is hope. If we can give you confidence and hope, there's nothing that you cannot achieve in yourself. And we do that with our employees, and we really focus on that as an organization and a company to get the best out.
What I'm embracing is that you're creating a sense of belonging.
Yes.
And from a sense of belonging, self-worth is a natural byproduct.
Absolutely.
So I'm really enjoying this. Let me leave you with one last question, but I want to open up anything at the end for you to comment on anything you want. But how do you see the future? Because you shared some really powerful things about your relationship with the National Minority Supplier Development Council. How do you envision your future with the said organization?
Oh, I think it's a long-term relationship that we're going to have with the NMSDC. We see the power that it brings not only to corporations that are looking for suppliers that can help them tackle all of their challenges, but as a real force in helping the diverse owners' businesses rise. Because you also have a sense of, you know, when you get the opportunity throughout the event, and if you come to our national events, you see the camaraderie that's built and the natural mentorship that happens and the exchanging of ideas. You know, we needed help with legal services, and it was a customer that I was talking to, and she came up immediately with 6 different diverse legal services companies that I could call on to help release some of the bandwidth that we had. That's the power that the NMSDC brings to all of its members.
Wow. So you see a long future.
Long future.
Is there anything that we haven't addressed that you want to talk about?
Well, you got to tell me the best restaurants in Baton Rouge to go to when I come
that's
down
easy.
to visit you.
That's easy. I'm looking forward to that. Let me share with you my head, my heart, my hands, and my habits about this conversation. You have amplified the importance of MBEs to the American economy. It couldn't get better than that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
You are fantastic. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate all the time that we got to spend together today, John.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.